and welcome to the latest edition of the Screen One interview. And today I am joined by Bat Out of Hell, the musical co-stars Glenn Adamson and Katie Tonkinson, who play Strat and Raven, respectively. So, hello, welcome to the show. How are you both?
Very well. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll get straight into it. So how did you both come to be involved in the show? I mean, I know you've previously been in it. You're now going on the tour, which we will talk about in a second. How did you come to taking the lead roles this time?
Well, I first got involved back pre-COVID for the US tour. I got cast in that, but never got to do it because obviously COVID hit and closed all this in America before here. So I had a suitcase there for 2 years before it was sent back, and then they said, "Oh, you can do the UK tour." So I did the UK tour, and then Katie joined us, didn't you?
Yeah, the tail end of the UK tour, I played Valkyrie for that one, and that was kind of end of UK, Germany. We did the Arena, Australia, New Zealand, and then ended with the Peacock in London, which was amazing. But I covered Raven during that process. Managed to go on for a few times in Germany, didn't I? German press night. That was a wild ride.
And she was incredible. So here we are.
Here we are. Yeah.
So now you're both in the lead roles. You're about to go on tour next year, early next year. You've got a very passionate fan base dedicated to Bat Out of Hell. I think it's safe to say. Do you feel any pressure taking on these iconic roles time after time?
I mean, I do a little bit, yeah, just because I've seen so many people do it so wonderfully, and I think the bar's been set so high, and because there's such a love for these characters and the music that the bar will always be set really high for it. But I think it's really exciting as well to kind of take all this material and make it our own, and I think that's quite exciting. I think for me to get to bounce off you with that as well. I think it's nice to kind of make something new.
And the fan base is so loyal. They love new people joining the fold. I mean, even if they know an understudy's on or something like that, they'll flock in their droves to watch it because they want to experience the show every different way it comes. That's the great thing about Bat of Hell. It's different every night rather than every cast or every production. We really honor Meatloaf. People used to say that when they would watch him perform, you never got the same version of a song twice, and we really honor that with the way we play the show.
Yeah, excellent. So before you originally came to the show, were you both familiar with the music of Jim Steinman and Meatloaf, or was it you had to sort of delve into it a bit more than, say, I don't know, Bat Out of Hell or something?
I mean, I knew some songs. I didn't know, loads of them. I knew Bat Out of Hell, obviously. I knew Dead Ringer, and I knew All Coming Back to Me Now.
Yeah.
That was a song I used to sing quite a lot in kind of music sets and things, so I was kind of no pressure. But the rest of it, actually, I didn't really know at all. It was quite exciting kind of getting familiar with that. I went, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, and for me, I grew up sort of listening to this music in the car. Like my parents would always have that playing. So really, it's been with me since I was a small child. Yeah.
That's excellent. So they're quite, as we've just said, they're quite iconic, these songs. A lot of them, Bat Out of Hell, obviously, and I Would Do Anything for Love. So is there any of the songs in the show that you really love to perform? Like really love to perform?
For Crying Out Loud.
Yeah, For Crying Out Loud is such a good one for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that as well. I love personally, like, It's All Coming Back to Me Now. I sing about 3 lines in the thing at the end, but I sit at the front and I face, almost like an audience member, I face to Katie and just get to watch her sing it. It's like, just like bathing in that sound and experiencing what the audience experiences is one of my favorite moments. And then I love it, Anything for Love, because that beginning intro, you hear this intake of breath from the audience, and there's no feeling like that of like,
Here we go.
You see them grab each other's legs and things, like it's finally that one. And I love that moment. It feels really like live theatre at that point.
Yeah, that's great. So you're just talking about it there really a little bit. So is there any particular moment in the show where you kind of go, we've got them? I know, the fanatics will be from the word go, but is there any point in any of the shows where you kind of go, this is where we've really pulled them in now? They're really with us.
I actually love, sorry, jumping in, after you say, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses? And when Raven finally replies to it, I love that sort of pause when everyone's waiting for her to say something.
Yeah, it's like a real, like, the fans are so engaged in that moment. I always think we've got them from Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which Falco and Sloan do. Like, people just love that song, and that's when the audience come to life, which is quite early on in the piece.
That's really cool. So there's also the song "What Part of My Body Hurts the Most," which was previously unreleased. So before the musical. So how does it feel performing something that is fresh and new, especially to those who've not seen the show before and say are fans of Meatloaf?
Yeah, I mean, that one's not actually our song. Mum and Dad sing that in the
Yeah.
show. So it feels like their song to us
Yeah.
now, especially because Sharon and Rob have played these roles since conception of the show. So it really always feels like, oh, it's like Sharon and Rob's song.
It's like off their
Yeah.
album.
It fits so well within the musical as well. Like it's perfect storytelling for their characters at that point. So I think most people that know that song now know it in their voices.
Yeah. So that was kind of my next question. I actually asked them in the wrong order, but it was, is there any other songs in the show? And again, you've played other characters. So are there other songs in the show that you'd love to perform that you don't?
Oh, interesting. Do you know, not songs that I don't sing that are within the show, but songs that used to be in the show that, like, over the years, the show's grown. I mean, when it first started and Jim Steinman first sort of was involved in it, it was about 3.5 hours long. So naturally, it's been cut, but the cast album, you still have tracks on there that are not in there anymore. And I really love It Just Won't Quit, which is on there. I sing that quite a lot when I'm doing concerts or things. I just really love that track, and I always think if I brought one back, I'd bring that back.
Nice.
Anything you want to sing? Bat Out of Hell? Fancy the whole thing?
No, I like my fact. I get a little extra, and then I just get to listen to you sing it for the next 7 minutes. It's perfect. But I'm quite lucky because I've done Valkyrie. I feel like I've kind of covered all bases, or a lot of bases. I'd love to sing a bit of Sloan.
Yeah, you could do it.
That would be fun.
So you're going on tour. The tour is 9 months long, covering venues from Edinburgh to the London Peacock Theatre. What's the most exciting part about touring? Because obviously it's very different to being, say, in the West End on a stage. What are the better parts of touring? What makes it?
I actually love touring. I prefer it to working in the West End. I'll tell you why. It's because the West End feels very touristy to me. Whenever I've worked there, it feels like the audiences they were going to go to see a show that night,
Right.
and they chose the show that they got tickets for, and they're not necessarily diehard fans of that show, or they're just there for a different reason. Whereas on tour, it always feels more special. It feels like these people, that's their local theatre, and if the calendar of shows that they had, they picked this one. They looked in that brochure and they said, that's the one for us, and they came, and it's an event for them. And the show also plays so differently everywhere. I mean, I always say to people, you could not find this show more different than if you did it in Oxford, like we did on the last tour, to doing it in Aberdeen. The audiences are totally different, which by default makes the energy of the show different, and the way you act it completely different, because the laughs are in different places. The energy of the audience is either raucous or it's more reserved, and it just creates a completely different piece, which you don't get when you're static and you're in London, you're playing it night after night. So I find that such a buzz. That's why I always think a show feels better on tour.
Yeah, that was actually I was going to say was how differently the audiences react in each different place, because you never know what you're going to get.
Excellent. So without saying it's your favorite, is there anywhere in particular on the tour that you're looking forward to visiting for whatever reason?
I've never been to Edinburgh, so that's really exciting to open in Edinburgh. Yeah.
This show in Scotland is huge. It plays so well. I'm so excited for people to experience what Scottish audiences are like. They're diehard Meatloaf fans, but also like they just love a party. It's the same with sort of Ireland or any of those places, and Newcastle, to be fair, like big music loving cities, Sheffield as well. They're really exciting places to go. Any job I've ever done that's visited them that's like of a back catalogue of music, they go down like you wouldn't believe in those places.
So the chemistry between Strat and Raven is vital to the show's emotional core. So how do you two work on your chemistry during rehearsals? Because obviously it's absolutely amazing, but how do you refine that and make that so incredible that makes the show revolve?
I think. Sorry, no go.
No, you go.
There
We're
you
lucky
go.
we get along.
Well, I'm joking.
Not everyone that you work with maybe would that happen, but we do. So there is natural chemistry there. You sort of just have to take it not too seriously and find a sense of humor between each other, and that's the joy of it, I think.
And with that, you get more comfortable with each other, then you trust each other more, and then you can start sort of pushing boundaries a bit, and you play around a bit more. It's nice not completely setting and planning everything. It's quite nice, as you say, like as the show changes, it's quite nice to trust each other that you're going to react slightly differently depending on how.
Just listening and responding, isn't it? That's all acting is.
So with your chemistry in rehearsals and stuff, has there been any funny moments or, absolute?
Oh, we find everything
It's quite funny.
We can't take anything seriously for too long. So there's a lot of scenes sort of within this version of the show, we've moved to having it all on handhelds.
Right.
Rather than head mics, which has always been head mics before, but to get that real rock and roll feel, we've said let's use handhelds for everything. So that brings with it its own sense of humor, especially when you're doing intimate scenes and there's a mic hanging between your legs, between each other. We've had a few little immature 13-year-old giggles.
Sounds excellent. So, if you could borrow a song from any other musical to put into Bat Out of Hell, what would you pick?
Oh,
That's a really good one. Do you know what? It would actually be not from a musical, but I think that Jim Steinman's back catalogue that we should have had Holding Out for a Hero in here by Bonnie Tyler. I think they missed a trick not putting that into the show, because I think it would really work, especially for the two female leads to have added that one in, because we put in, obviously, All Coming Back to Me Now, whilst Meatloaf did cover it, it's mostly known for Celine's version. So I can't see why we couldn't have just shoved that in. And actually, Bonnie Tyler came to watch it in Swansea for your opening night, and Bonnie was desperate for it to go in as well. So I think watch that space one day.
And it's also used in Footloose, so technically it is from.
Of course. Maybe that's why. Actually, maybe that's why.
What's the other Bonnie Tyler came to my mind, but
Turn around.
Tonight. That one. I would love Total Eclipse. Yeah, I think that would be wicked.
Excellent. So, you can pick anybody for this apart from Meatloaf. Okay. Now, any famous guest star, living or dead, apart from Meatloaf, because that's too easy an answer. Who would you have on stage with you with these songs? If you could have anybody.
Youngblood. If you know who Youngblood is, I always think he'd be I think he'd be an amazing.
I do know who he is. Yeah.
I think he'd be an amazing Strat.
I was thinking Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Again, that sort of rocky, theatrical.
Yeah. So basically, we're both replacing me. But no one's replacing.
Just trying to say something that I'm sure we're not.
Or is that maybe I should have replaced myself? I think so. Hayley Williams, think come in.
So as we're coming in for a final couple of questions. So the tour ends around about September next year, which, as we said, is quite a long tour. So what do you want the audiences to remember or take away from this production? What would you like this?
I think for me, I always think I want people to come for 2.5 hours and feel 18 again. That's really the point of the show, is that sort of in the show, we're stuck at the age of 18, where I am and the rest of the lost. And people always say when they come out of this show, for that moment, I got to feel like my 18-year-old self again. So that's what I want people to have, that feeling of their youth back.
I think there's quite a lot of, or I see quite a lot of comments of people saying about certain songs they're really important to them. And I think there's quite a lot of, all the songs in somewhere about love. Different tempos and different styles, but they're all about love in some way. And I think lots of people carry them quite really close to heart for various different reasons. So I think that's quite nice when you see people being like, oh my God, this is our song, or like, this is for that moment. I think making it as special as possible within that moment for them is really cool.
Absolutely. Now, final two questions. So if you could summarize Bat Out of Hell in just 3 words, what are they going to be?
Rock and roll.
Yeah, rockstar rock and roll.
Excellent
Epic.
answer.
Epic, raucous, extravagant.
Yeah.
Excellent. And finally, where can people follow both of you and stay updated with the journey as well as the tour? Just give us a quick advert.
Well,
for
you can find
yourselves.
the tour at Bat the Musical on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Glenn_Adamson_.
And I'm at Katie Tonk on Instagram.
I'm not on anything else.
No, that's probably about it.
Excellent. Well, no, that's excellent. So people can get tickets now. They're on sale now all
Yeah.
across the UK next year. We look forward to seeing you at some point on the tour. All that's left for me to say is thank you for coming on the interview. Have a great Christmas, and everybody will see you next year. So thank you both for Glenn and
No.
Katie on the Screen One interview.
Well,
See you
thanks.
on the road.
Thanks for having us.